Welcome to day 236 of TFIF 365. And I've just been laying here in the dark for a while. Being in the dark I'm learning to really, no, I can take that back. I'm not going to say I'm learning. I've discovered that I really enjoy laying in the dark. When the sun comes up, it shifts my ability to reflect. But laying in the dark, I'm able to really just go really deeply. And I just want to talk about yesterday's video and this recognition or acknowledgement that my life has completely changed since 10 years ago when my father passed away, right? And so much happened in that year. Like I said, I started my doctoral program. I went into a completely different um, job, just like industry. Went from education straight to tech, not knowing anything about tech or what I wanted to do in tech, but dove head in. And yesterday, remembering that, again, my dad made his transition, how much my life has changed, how much so much in my life has changed. And yesterday was just cathartic. And that's one of the reasons I do this. And I was hesitant. I said yesterday, I was hesitant to post that after I recorded it because I was so vulnerable. And the theme of what I woke up to today is ego death. And I'm not sure. I went and did a little research, and there are a lot of, psychological definitions of what ego death is, or ego loss. And there are different frames of thought or psychological framing and thinking about it. And when I was reading it, I don't want to go that deep. I don't want to go like defining and weighing and evaluating. It's just when I say ego death in this sense, it's just a very loose term of what came to mind. It might not be, and I'm saying all this because I want to be sure, it might not be the psychologist's definition or the new age definition or the religious or spiritual definition of ego death. It is Kim's definition of ego death. And what I I felt that yesterday because I was feeling so many emotions. And it was, again, I talk about the pinball machine, right? When the ball is hitting off all these things, bumpers, and there's lights going off, and there's noises going off, and all kinds of things. It seems like chaos, but someone's designed this game and people have learned to master it, right? With all that going on. And what I've been, so yesterday, that's what I was feeling. It's like it was just all kinds of emotions was colliding. And when you put on top of that, we live in a society where what you do and what you make is often what determines your value. And my being in a place where I'm still in a holding pattern. Things are getting very clear, or getting clearer. I'm no longer in the fog, and yet I'm still I'm still equating my being with my doing. I'm still equating my value as a person in the United States, as a Black woman, as what labels do I have, and what financial resources do I have to determine my value. And now it's at a very cellular level, because I would not say that on a conscious level anymore. And that's the ego death part, because I did not want to, oh my God, I fought myself. I did not want to post that video. But I made a commitment to myself that I was going to be as transparent and as authentic and model supremacy-free, coercion-free, discrimination-free, and exploitation-free in all the ways that showed up as much as possible. And if that meant me being vulnerable to a whole bunch of strangers, and it's so funny because one of the things that holds me back is not just strangers. Strangers I'm fine with. It's because there's that people-pleasing aspect of my personality, which is why I'm so great at building communities. Um, And people pleasing doesn't have to necessarily be negative, like with everything else. It depends on how far you let the pendulum swing. And there have been times in my life that I have prioritized other people over myself in an effort not to make them feel any kind of negative emotions, whatever they may be, or whatever they attribute that to. That I did not want my friends and family to see me struggling like that, because folks always see me as this strong, unflappable, funny, silly person. There are very few people that I feel safe enough to just be exposed, just to be vulnerable, and trust that they won't use that against me in the future. And so those were the things that was going through my head yesterday when I was debating whether to upload that very vulnerable moment yesterday. And that's what I mean by ego death, because I had to step outside of my ego and and understand that in doing this, good, bad, or indifferent, if I had the ugly cry, if I put on makeup, if I get my hair done to do these videos, whatever that is, that's not even, I can't even say secondary or tertiary of what the message and why I'm doing this in the first place. The reason I'm doing this in the first place is to be a model, to show people that they can be vulnerable. They can be, because this work requires us to be vulnerable. This work requires us to know ourselves. That's just popped in my head. To thine own self be true. How can you be true to yourself if you have no idea what that is? Because if everything around you, all your education, all your socialization, all your interactions, all your engagements have been about placating, about people pleasing, about prioritizing others all over you. And this is not about, when I say, because my work is about prioritizing the most vulnerable, but this is being honest about, I can't even prioritize the most vulnerable if my basic needs are not being met. And it's not, and we often lean into, when we say our basic needs, be they financial, housing, food, shelter, that kind of thing. But in that moment, it was my basic needs of, I have to strip all this away, because who am I without all of this? Do I even like myself without all this? Because I definitely didn't like myself when I had it all. But what does it look like to rebuild your life from the ground up? When you've walked away from relationships that were your lifeblood, when you set boundaries and you find yourself alone, when your bank account looks bleak, when your friends don't call, when your partner does not meet you in the ways that you think they should, whatever that is. Um, who are you in all of that? Who are you? Who can you rely on? And it should be ourselves. And so by me just, getting on here and saying what I feel and being my honest self and crying and laughing, whatever that is, that's another thing. It's like, why should I value see my laughing with you as more important than my crying with you, right? I am all of those things. I am happiness, I am anger, I am joy, I am peace, I am laughter, I am sadness, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I am jubilant, I am mournful, I am, and that's not just me, it's all of us. But where in our lives do we get to explore all of those, get to share all the, get to learn from all of those? Because I learned so much from yesterday just by being vulnerable, just by showing up as my authentic self. And so today I don't regret not deleting that video, but stepping outside of myself and knowing who my value, and knowing that my tears don't make me weak, knowing that my tears don't make me less than, knowing that vulnerability, me showing up vulnerable, is how I, to my own self, be true. I am at my best when I am naked. And that's metaphorically and literally. And so, how do I, so from this point on, I really want to focus my work on, now that I'm naked, how do I rebuild my life? Yeah. So until tomorrow, peace. Become a sustaining sponsor at kimcreighton.com/support-the-work and help make this work happen.